Over the last couple of years, Panasonic have been releasing a series of lenses for their S-series cameras, and we have been reviewing them. We've got reviews, I think, on all of them. I'll pop links to those reviews down in the description so you can check them out. But these are their f1.8 series of prime lenses. All of these lenses have a maximum aperture of f1.8, and all of these lenses have a lot more in common than that. Now, we are talking from wide angle all the way up to a beautiful portrait 85mm. So we're looking at 18mm, 24mm, 35mm, 50mm, and 85mm, which covers so much ground. It's unbelievable. And all at f1.8. That means you've got some great wide angle options for architecture, landscape, even night sky photography at 18mm and 24mm. 35 and 50 work fantastically as all-rounder lenses for video, for portrait, for all kinds of things like that. And then 85mm gives you that beautiful cinematic look for video. And then of course, you've got a great portrait option there as well. All of them have fantastic image quality, and that nice bright f1.8 aperture makes sure that you're getting lots of light in. So great for low light, but also some beautiful bokeh there, especially as you move up through the focal lengths. You're going to get some beautiful blurred out backgrounds. Now, there are a lot of things that have obviously been thought through really well with these lenses in terms of collecting them as a set of lenses for your camera, whether you shoot on the S5, which is fantastic, because these lenses are reasonably small, they're going to work fantastically with that camera. Whether you're shooting on something like the S1 or the S1R or the S1H for video, you've got a lot to like about these lenses. First up, they all take the same filter size. So whether you shoot photo or video, you could have one ND filter, one polarizing filter, and you're done. You now have those filters right from 18mm all the way up to 85. You can just swap them between lenses. I love that kind of thing because it feels like that's been thought through from the very first lens by Panasonic. It means it's a lot cheaper for a photographer or videographer to get those filters for their lenses, and just a lot easier as well. You only have to take one filter out with you rather than cases and cases of filters, which if you've ever done that, you'll know is not as much fun as one filter. But it goes even deeper than that. These lenses are all roughly the same size and roughly the same weight as well, which might not immediately sound as important as I think it is, because that's a nice thing, that means they're going to fit nicely either on a shelf or in a camera bag. That's great. But actually there's more to it than that. If you're a hybrid shooter, if you're a videographer who uses gimbals, for example, this is going to free up so much of your time when you want to swap lenses. One of the problems, at least for me, of using a gimbal is the time it takes to balance. And if I'm on a shoot, if I'm moving around, if things are happening and it's all a bit dynamic and a bit free flowing, I don't want to stop for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, if you're used to it, and I'm not, or 15 minutes if you're really not used to it, like I'm not, and actually balance my gimbal because I've had to put a new lens on there, especially if I'm using prime lenses, right? If I want to shoot a few things on an 85mm to get a really cinematic look, and then I want to switch back to a 35mm for more of an all-rounder kind of feel, that means I'm going to have to rebalance the gimbal. But because the lenses are all pretty much the same size and pretty much the same weight, right down to a very, very tiny margin, you might not even have to balance the gimbal at all. It probably is close enough that you can just get straight onto it, swap the lenses out, and away you go. And if you do have to do any balancing, it is going to be super minimal. And for a videographer, that is mind-blowing. That is incredibly useful. That is something that's going to free up so much time and just energy and just keep the momentum going. And that is a big deal. Even if you're not using a gimbal and you're just using this with photo, it's still a really nice thing to have because you're going to have the exact same feel whether you're holding a 35mm, an 18mm, an 85mm, and that can be really useful for, again, keeping your momentum going. That's something that I don't think is talked about as much as maybe it should be for certain types of shoots. Now that's a big one for me for video shoots, especially if I'm out shooting with a client or shooting with a model and they're not used to it as much as I am. I'd want to minimize the downtime as much as possible. So having a consistent feel across a series of prime lenses is a great way of doing that, whether you're shooting photos or video. So it really feels like this series of lenses has been thought out from the start. Whether you are kind of someone who is getting into photography or video and you don't want to have to spend out for all these different filters, I think that's a great thing to have available to you with this series. Or whether you're someone who goes on professional shoots and wants to keep the momentum going, wants to keep the speed up, keep the downtime to a minimum, I think that's a great thing as well. There's a lot to love about the way these lenses have been thought out. You're getting the image quality that you would expect from a prime lens. You've got a nice fast aperture there as well. Beautiful bokeh, great for low light, and just a great handling experience as well. If you've used one of the lenses, you'll feel right at home with any of the other lenses in this range. And I think that's a huge advantage that, I'll be honest, you don't see as often as you should in a series of lenses. Now you can check out all of the lenses for yourself by checking out the links down in the description where you can go check out the pricing, the spec, all that kind of stuff. I've also linked some cameras down there that we've used with these lenses. So things like the S5, the S1, the S1R, even the S1H as well. A great option whether you're in the Panasonic ecosystem or whether you're thinking about getting into it. This is a really nice way of getting what is essentially a very big focal range, but it's all prime lenses. And they all have the same feel, the weight, the size. I'm a big fan. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe as well for more content all the time. I'll be seeing you in the next video, but until then, as always, thanks for watching.